Angle Slam
Podcast.
We back.
We're back for WrestleMania.
Yes, Mania 37. I think we debated on whether we're not doing two separate podcasts, and we thought, nah, screw it, let's just do one big one.
Yeah, if we'd done two, it'd just be a rush. It'd be like night one, sleep, get up, do podcast, watch night two. It'd just be, nah.
Yeah, that's the problem with us Brits. We have to stay up late, so then we have to catch up on sleep.
Yeah, hint, wink, wink, WWE, we want a Mania.
Or we could do what Wrestle Talk and that kind of people do, where they literally do their reviews straight after at like 4 a.m. I was like, but I don't fancy that.
No. It's even if I wasn't drinking, I'd be fuck.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. It's 4 a.m.
Yeah. It'd be one of those rare occasions, like if they were to replay like a WrestleMania 17 or something, where your adrenaline is like just pumping out your fucking veins. That'd be like, yeah, I'm wired now. I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but hey ho. So I don't think there's any deaths. So I'll move on to you with the subscription.
Yes, so like, subscribe, share, find us on all the usual stuff, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Music. We've got loads of other places as well, like CastBox, Google Podcasts. They're all in the link that we put out every time. So we've covered most of the podcast areas. I think the only one we don't do is Spotify, but it's potentially something we'll look into in the future. So click us, you'll find us. Yeah,
I've just unfortunately had a little bit of a light bulb. I mean, it is kind of wrestling related, but the Hardy Boys' dad passed away.
Yeah, I did see that the other day. Yeah, so yeah, I suppose we dedicate that to him.
Yeah, but I did think, like, even going into Mania, I was like, "Where's Jeff? He wasn't in the Battle Royal."
No, he wasn't. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, this kind of explains. Maybe it was like, he might have said, "Look, my dad's really ill. I think we think this is the end to have some time off." And they've gone, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
Even I'm going back a while now, but I think Becky Lynch's dad passed away.
Yeah, she did.
Do an honour for that in one of the podcasts?
I generally don't know whether we did or not.
Well, if we didn't, we're doing it on this one.
Do it now.
So, yeah, it's to them. So, yes, Mania 37, and it was the first pay-per-view since Elimination Chamber 2020. They've had fans in there.
Yes.
And that was the main excitement point for me.
Yeah, same here. I mean, like, there was a couple of matches I was looking forward to, but on the whole, most of them were just kind of like, yeah, I'm hoping they'll pull out something good, but it's not like I'm absolutely buzzing. But yeah, it was the fact that the fans were back and we're going to get natural reactions and we're just going to have that proper pay-per-view feel.
Yeah, it was, I kind of had the pre-show on in the background. And they did this really clever thing of like, they had the panel there, and they had, instead of the background of the stadium and all that, they had covers, like, where you could just about see through them. But then it's like, okay, they're hiding that we can see the fans. They want it to be a big reveal, which I thought, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because even though because I could just see through it, I could see some movement of fans filling up the stands. Even I was thinking, getting that buzz, like, it's fucking happening, there's going to be fucking... And at some sort of real atmosphere there. But yeah, nothing on the pre-show, no matches on either night, to my knowledge.
I think, I don't know whether there was something on the pre-show on the second night, but on the first night I know for a fact they didn't have one because Vince said what he wanted to do was skip the pre-show, which is why a lot of stuff happened on the SmackDown before, like a WrestleMania SmackDown or whatever it was, because he wanted the first match to come out to be that big pop. The only unfortunate spanner in the works with that is that, unfortunately, after they kicked in with the big intro and Vince and everybody on the stage saying, "Welcome to WrestleMania, we're happy we got your back," they were then delayed for 40 to 45 minutes because of thunderstorms and rain coming in because it's down in Tampa. And it was just such a blow because I was actually getting myself kind of ready and psyched up. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, right, okay, let's do this. It's Mania. We're going to try and enjoy it like we used to. And then just to have the rug pulled from under us for 40 minutes where we had to have people kind of improvise over the top, and then seeing Michael Cole and Samoa Joe in ponchos was freaking hilarious. Looked like they were going to Splash Mountain.
Yeah, it was one of them where literally as that news hit, it was almost like I could feel WWE, like the staff, the actual company, and the fans unite in a kind of, how many more kicks to the nuts are we going to get here?
It's like God is telling us we're not allowed to do this.
It was kind of like the curse of the pirate theme, because obviously with Mania 36 they kept the pirate thing, but it was obviously just in the Performance Centre. So why not do Mania 37 with the same theme with what you were going to try last year? But obviously Mania 36, no fans, no Thunderdome at that point, just silence. And we finally get fans, and they go, "Oh, Storm might fuck it up." Yeah, for God's sake. So, but I've said since like the first time they did it, which was like 2008 or something like that, it was like, oh, it's a great visual to have outside in the stadium. It looks great, but you're in Florida, like it's a storm capital. What if it rains?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
And all the other years they've got away with it. This year they didn't. So hopefully this year or next time they'll be like, "You're going to do it in a stadium. Get one where the roof can close."
Yeah.
Then there's no issue. I mean, they're doing it next year in Dallas, where it's inside anyway, so there shouldn't be any problems. And I just want Drew to kind of give another nudge, go, Wembley's got a roof. Maybe that could be something you could look at next time. But,
I've just got to the point where I was like, there's no way they're coming in with WrestleMania until Vince is dead and gone, I don't think.
No.
He sees America. That's all he sees.
Yeah. So to go back to the Vince thing with the roster on the stage, it took me back a little bit, like, what's this? But then it did become clear he's there to say welcome back and thank you for being patient with us. And more, I think he thanked the staff more and his talent. And I was like, that's a nice touch, because they've worked their ass off through a pandemic for us. So, yeah, they need that recognition. He got that recognition. They did. Wasn't the national anthem, was it?
No, it's America the Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they've dropped the national anthem now, but hey-ho. Yeah, that opening package, 40 minutes delay. But, again, I'll tip my cap to them. They handled it very professionally.
Well, yeah, they did. I mean, they had to think on their feet, and they chucked over people to do promos that they knew they could trust to do those kinds of promos. Drew did absolutely fine. I think Kevin probably did the best, because, Kevin, can you just talk for 5 minutes about you and Sami Zayn? Easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like they can do that. And then the New Day as well, obviously, they're easy to get on board with. It's just chuck it to these people that can riff until we're able to go live again. Yeah,
I mean, with New Day, it was literally like, go out there, be New Day. Just do your thing. I think my brother kind of had the worry, as did I. Like, when Drew interrupted Lashley and MVP's interview, it was and they were like, "We'll go right now if we have to." Like, they're not going to make it a backstage brawl.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the same. I was like, "Don't you dare do this! Not this match. No way."
It needs to happen in the ring.
I'll wait.
A crowd, and obviously they didn't. And it was one of them where I bet you that Storm warning came in while Vince was still on stage with all the wrestlers. I'd hate to be that guy behind the curtain, like, you got to tell Vince as soon as he walks through what's going on. I'm like, oh, crap, I've got to tell him Mania's delayed. But yeah, and when obviously he must have done that thing of like, do a promo. There might have been some people who just like, I've got to say I can't do it. But for those that did say, yeah, okay, I'll do it, even if they weren't promised more pay, I think it'd be good of Vince to go, you got us out of a bad situation there. Is just a little bit more money as a thank you.
Yeah, hopefully. I wouldn't hold your breath, but hopefully.
No, I wouldn't hold my breath. But, it's one of them where people have to come together and just go, right, let's get through this. Because it's one thing to do it on a regular show with thousands, if maybe a couple of million watching it. When it's WrestleMania, where, millions around the world are watching it, it's like, we've got to do something. But yeah, they got through it. What was the first entrance, Lashley's, or did Titus and Hogan come out first?
Titus and Hogan came out first, and on both nights, Hogan was getting booed. And rightfully so, really. I mean, because you could see how transparent this was from the get-go. As soon as they announced it was going to be Hogan and Titus as the hosts, I was like, all you're doing is trying to tell everybody, look, Hogan's not racist. He's with a black man. He has a black friend. Don't boo him. He's racist. He's changed. Yeah. He hasn't. He's an idiot. He's an arsehole. He's racist. And stop trying to tell us otherwise.
if anything, it put a spotlight on the situation that hadn't been happening in a while. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of just dug up old bones here.
You're focusing on it, and you don't have them as the hosts.
The thing is, yeah, it's like if it was just Titus. I mean, Titus is a top bloke, but it was gonna be kind of like, well, why? Kind of thing. With Hogan, I get it as far as WWE legends go, but it's kind of like it would be Hogan again, really?
Yeah.
So it should have been either one of them or neither of them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was what it was. It was boring. No offense to Titus, the whole fact that we don't want a pre-show because we want the first entrance to be epic.
Titus.
Coming out.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I knew what Vince was thinking. Well, it's going to be Drew because I want Drew to have that big pop. I'm like, but it wasn't because it was technically Titus was the first thing that came up. I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it was. But again, it was one of those things of like they're going to have to go out first because of the whole Storm thing. We need to give them something and blah blah blah. So anyway, get to the matches. Opens with the WWE Championship, which when I first heard it, I wasn't sure about it opening, but I thought, okay, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Yeah, so great to see Drew get the pop that he's been waiting for.
Yeah, that was my main focus of that's just what I wanted for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was like there was obviously wow factor. Like as soon as he hit the sword down, there was more pyro than usual, as you'd expect. I actually really liked Lashley's entrance, where at the start he just had that golden, like almost showing the highlights of his latest run.
Yeah,
of just being dominant, and then it just comes up the Almighty. I was like, I really like that. So you could tell by that whole when they had to do the interviews during the 40-minute delay, both Drew and Roman were I could see it in their eyes. They were like caged animals, like they were ready to go. And then they get told you got to wait.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's got to be the worst thing when you're psyching yourself up and you've got yourself in the zone. You're in gorilla. You're like kind of ready and focused to the moment. Right, I'm going out there. I'm going to be fucking buzzed. I'm going to do this, and this. You're focused on what you've got to do, and then someone's going to put their hand on you and just go, "Sorry, mate, you're going to have to wait for 40 minutes because it's raining." It's really going to chuck you under.
But also, even at that point, they didn't know how long it was going to be.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to have to wait. How long? Don't know. And in that point, in your head's going to be like, if this storm continues all night, this could get cancelled tonight. There's all these thoughts, and then you obviously got told you got to go on camera and do something. So it was partially, obviously, them staying in their characters and creating the buzz. But I think most of it was genuine, like, anticipation and adrenaline of like, I want to do this. Yeah. I want to go. Let's go.
As far as like the match is concerned, I didn't like the fact that it was on first. I was annoyed at that. I don't think it should have headlined because the headline that happened was the right call, 100%, which we'll get to later. But it should have been on at least second to last. But after the match was finished, it became abundantly clear why they put it on first. It also became abundantly clear why they put Orton and The Fiend on first the second night as well. And it's the same reason for this match. The match was good. It was okay. It was big dudes doing big stuff. It was building and building. The only problem was that it was building to that Drew win. Like they were building up towards that. It was like Lashley was getting a lot of offense through, and every now and then Drew would get his own back, and it would just get up to that point. And then for him to be distracted by MVP when he's going for the Claymore, he gets put in the headlock, and he doesn't tap. He passes out. So Bobby retains, but I'm not happy with that result. I'm really not. I know that I'm loving Bobby. I am. This is the difficult thing. I'm loving Bobby, and I like his run at the moment. I like him as WWE champion, but my main focus, as well as most people, was that Drew deserves that big pop win that he didn't get last year. And the thing I'm worried about is that he's never going to get that now. And this is the reason why it became obvious why I put it on first. Same with the Orton Fiend match. Because Vince is going to look at it and go, I'll do this because this is the way I want it to go. And they'll get over it within a couple of hours. And it's like, well, no, we won't. So I'm just not happy with the result. I can't take anything away from the guys. The match was fine. It wasn't incredible, but it was fine. But it just felt like it was building to that Drew win. Then Vince just went, actually, no, change the result. I want the result changed. But they didn't have enough time to change out the match, the structure of the match for it. I'm disappointed that Drew lost, really, because I just didn't think that was the right call. they may go with a Drew win at the WrestleMania Backlash thing, because it seems like maybe they're going towards that's going to be another big arena full of people, and maybe he'll get the win there. But in my opinion, it should have just been the other way around. Have him win, and then maybe have Bobby win it back at Backlash, and then he can carry on with the title. That, for me, I was just disappointed.
It's a very hard one to even... I think not just to call for like the officials backstage and what do we do here, but also hard for like, you know, for the fans like us to get their head around it of like, right, what the decision here isn't exactly, it wasn't cut and dry really as most are, because if Mania 36 had happened normally and Drew won and huge pop because the crowd was there and this same match happened,
I'd have been fine with Bobby winning.
Yeah, that's it. So I know they should really take into account that Drew didn't get his moment. And one kind of bit of it, I kind of saw it as, right, okay, Drew, you won the WWE Championship last year. Granted, it was an empty room. But you still won it. It was still at WrestleMania. This time, you're going to get the pop. You're going to perform in front of people at WrestleMania. The only difference is you're not going to win the belt. So he's got the best, but as you said, we want him to have the win pop.
Yeah.
So, I know it's not the same as Mania, but if SummerSlam rolls around as the first pay-per-view where it's full capacity, and he wins it then, that's when, I know it's not the same as Mania, but it's still a big pay-per-view, full crowd, full pop.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a full pop than a 25,000 fans pop.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and like I say, I was kind of on the fence with it because originally I was going to go for Lashley as a prediction, but I saw a couple of video packages with Drew, and like you say, they did this really smart thing of like, this looks like Drew's taking it here.
Yeah, like I say, even the structure of the match, it looks like Drew was taking it.
And they went with the Mania shock of, oh my God, Lashley's done it, and. Despite a lot of people being shocked and rather upset about it, I think it still gives that whole kayfabe point of, okay, Lashley's not a guy to fuck around with.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's not. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like at the end of it, I'll go, "Oh, Bobby doesn't deserve to be champion. He's not ready. He shouldn't be in the spotlight. I don't like him. It's nothing to do with that. I like everything about him, and I don't mind him being WWE champion. If he can go on a big heel tear with this belt, fine. I'm golden with that. But I just wanted it to start at Backlash. Rather than start now, you know what I mean? I'd rather just Drew have his pop and they can just, yes, it's paper thin and transparent what they're doing, but give Drew his pop, then give the belt to Bobby, let him go on his run all the way up to next Mania if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's one of them. Again, we just spoke about the risks of Vince changing his mind.
Yes.
But if he hasn't, what he's done, the only cut and dry bit here I can see is Lashley's now got more heel heat because of it, and Drew's got more... face sympathy.
Yeah.
Which, if they do it right and Vince doesn't change his mind, the fact that we've now got more sympathy, which means we're still behind Drew, and it probably even more so now, to the point of like, almost like the Daniel Bryan Mania 30 thing, where every time Daniel Bryan either got taken away from him, he'd fall at the last hurdle. It was like, no, we still want Bryan, blah, blah, blah. So when the payoff happened at Mania 30, the pop I'm feeling was so much greater. If this happens with Drew, to, like I said, either SummerSlam or maybe even next year's Mania, the pop will just be insane. So, and it's interesting as well with the whole thing. It was first time in a while, it was like, again, also it's what kind of fans we are of getting the product of like, this is the first time where I'm fine with where Lashley is and what he does. I'm fine with who Drew is and what he does, but I've got the heel I want to lose and the face I want to win. And that rarely happens for us. Like, say, with AJ Shinsuke, we like them both.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. This was like, I respect them both, but Drew's the guy I want to win, not Lashley.
Yeah. So fingers crossed we'll get something like that going forward.
Yeah. So, I really actually enjoyed the match. I thought it was better than their Backlash one. And we'll get into, like, a lot of matches I thought were either... those like not so important pay-per-view worthy kind of matches or Raw kind of matches. This to me was just passable as a WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
Yeah, so yeah, I enjoyed it. It's just that the ending was a little bit like, oh, okay then. Next was the Tag Team Turmoil.
Yeah, this is the match I didn't really give a shit about, to be perfectly honest. And to be honest, there's not really much we can say and talk about, because if we talk too much, we're going to be here for 3 hours, because we've only gone through the intro and one thing so far. So with this, it was fine. There was nothing that really stood out to me, except for the Riot Squad's gear as Joker and Harley Quinn. I thought that was cool. The what?
Mandy slipping over.
Yes, Mandy slipping over. Mandy slipping over, and then Dana Brooke getting not one but 2 nip slips during the match. Because even I thought their gear was like skimpy for them, and I was like, "This is weird." And it became abundantly clear. Yeah, that must have been a quick switch out with the costume, because that clearly didn't fit properly.
Excuse me.
And
at the time, I don't know why. I thought it was going to be like a kind of fatal 5-way. Well, actually, tell a lie. First thought it was a fatal 4-way. And then my brother's like, no, it's 5 teams. I was like, oh, okay. Then when the first 2 teams came out and the bell rang, I was like, oh, okay, it's a case of elimination. Okay, that gives me a little bit more interest here. Not like fully, but it's like, oh, it's a stipulation that I wasn't expecting. And as Alex said, the match, as far as wrestling goes, there wasn't really a lot to report.
No, there really wasn't. It's just all teams got a few minutes in the ring, and then one by one they're eliminated and gone, and eventually Tamina and Natalya get the win. That's nothing special, really. I mean,
Kamala did she did the smart pin thing where from the rope she had a foot on who was she teaming with? I forget
Billie Kay.
Yeah, her entrance of Billie Kay.
She was funny. Okay. But I like Billie Kay because she's just funny. She just knows how to act in that comedy aspect. And she's like that Damien Sandow kind of feel. And I like that.
I just thought, she gets it. She's comedy gold here. She's awesome. But the thing Carmella did where she'd have her feet on Billy's back so the other person can kick out. Very smart. Tried it again for the next team. Got caught by the ref. But yeah, going in, I thought Natalya and Tamina probably got this, mainly because of the promo Heyman did with them and talking smack.
It was that, and also the build-up they had on SmackDown. Because originally I was going to go Lana, because obviously everything's going on with her and Nia Jax over the last few months. I thought maybe this is the payoff where she pins Nia Jax. Yeah. Not that she should, but no. And then the last minute when I watched SmackDown, I went, no, I'm going to go for Tamina, because at the last-ditch moment they're showing that Tamina's a force to be reckoned with against Nia. Whether or not we believe it is irrelevant. This is the way they're pushing it, and lo and behold, that's what happened.
Well, I take it you saw the Heyman promo talking smack.
Yeah, I think I did, yeah.
Okay, well, so, I say we've got a lot to get through, so for listeners, if you didn't, go and check it out on YouTube now, because he just, not only did he nail them to the wall as far as they can't argue with everything he just said, but he got them over at the same time. It was genius. It got to the point, as soon as he was over, it's like, yeah, I want to see these 2 win at WrestleMania. The genius of how you can do that while insulting them.
In one promo as well.
Yeah. Heyman's a genius. Yeah. Always mental. So, Natalya and Tamina won, which meant they got a women's tag team championship.
Night
2. Next was Cesaro and Seth.
Now,
one of my favourite matches of the night.
This is one of my favourite matches of the weekend. I think this was... I don't think it was my favourite match of the night overall, which we'll get to.
But I know why. We'll get into that.
Yeah, but it was a very close second. And it shows why, because Seth is incredible. Cesaro's always been incredible. Pound for pound, the strongest man in WWE. But he's never had that chance to really shine outside of tag teams. And the fact that since he's been with them in 2011, he's not had a singles match at Mania. And they pushed on that. They played on it a lot. And I didn't mind it. And they went out there and had a hell of a match. It was all built around him getting the swing. But they honestly did some amazing things. I mean, I saw Seth do a corkscrew splash at some point.
Oh, God,
that was awesome. Brand new thing in the Arsenal. He did that step thing as well, where he kicked back as well. Plenty of uppercuts. He went for a stomp and got it turned into an uppercut from Cesaro. Excellent stuff. Really enjoyed that. You got a quick swing at the start and he got out of it. Then later on, he beat his record and got 23 swings in a go. Got himself in a sharpshooter at some point, I think, as well. There was just so much going on. And I mean, I was happy either way, whoever won, but overall, we all wanted Cesaro to get that win because he so desperately deserved it. But the whole time I was thinking to myself, no, Seth's like a big poster boy. He's a big company guy. He's one of Vince's favourites because of how much he's accomplished. And being as he lost last year to KO, I thought he's going to win this year because this seems to make sense. So it added that extra tension of Cesaro might lose this and just go into oblivion again. But the fact that they actually went with it, they actually went with Cesaro beating Seth Rollins clean as a whistle in the middle of the ring is incredible. And this is the moment. This is your chance to build Cesaro to this point. You could build him up to a Rumble win next year. This is lighting a fire under Cesaro's ass now, and this is the opportunity to build him up to something big. And fingers crossed they give it, because it's one of the best showings he's ever put out. It really is.
Yeah. With Cesaro, the fans have known for ages how good Cesaro is, and they've wanted this. And the genius of it was like, I think the fans would have been happy to see Cesaro in a one-on-one match against anyone at Mania, but it really matters who your dance partner is.
Yes. And
Seth and Cesaro, in their own right, are both very smart ring generals. So, case in point, the match was, I can't think of one fuck-up. It was paced beautifully. It really was. Organic, the spots were in the right place. I was a bit concerned at first when Cesaro came out because his arms looked very skinny compared to how they used to look. I thought, is he all right here? He looked either ill or like he hadn't been putting on the pounds, but maybe he just looked leaner. I don't know. But great spots, great technical wrestling, great shows of strength. When he did the airplane spin thing, which I've seen him do in the Indies, I was like, he's not, is he? And he did arms down, his hands on his head.
Just had his hands up. That was amazing. That was so cool.
This dude is fucking first class. So, now, originally I thought Seth might take for two reasons. Number one, as a storyline perspective, okay, Cesaro has great showing. Seth cheats to win or something like that. Sympathy vote for Cesaro. The fans are even more behind him. And second was, Seth's been losing a lot recently. So I just thought, maybe he needs a win.
But I think Seth's getting to Daniel Bryan territory. He's closer to that point now where he can lose and it really doesn't affect him too much because of how much he's already accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, he's in that, I don't know, I don't want to say awkward position, but he's in that position where he's far from being done, and he's got a championship reigns ahead of him still, and blah, blah, blah. But he's also in a position where he can put people over.
Yeah.
And I understood what happened afterwards, because apparently it was Seth who really pushed for Cesaro to get the singles match with him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being the case, and that's the one thing I love about Seth is that he might be a poster guy, or he might be a company guy, but when it counts, he can be like Cena and that, and say, look, it's not my time to win. It's this time for this person to win. It makes sense. Let's do this.
Yeah, and I understand that we're not just from a fan's perspective of, we love Cesaro, I'm so glad he won, but it's the whole, now on paper, he's beaten a very credible Universal and WWE champion. He needs to be in the top.
Well, he's a Grand Slam winner as well, so...
Yeah, and Cesaro, he didn't... he kind of did dominate. Yeah, it was that kind of match where it was back and forth, but everything Seth threw at him, Cesaro threw it back in his face.
He had an answer for it, and I think he was... he had a slight more dominance than Seth. I didn't think he was dominant throughout, but like you said, there was always a retort every time Cesaro was being hit by Seth. He had an answer for stuff.
Yeah, but Seth's character in the minute is almost like, I'm the man around here. And Cesaro's performance at Mania was kind of like, well, are you though?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Is he though?
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those. Like with Michael, one of the only times I'm going to agree with something Michael Cole said was, and it might have been told to say it through his headset, was Cesaro's career has been very stop-start.
Yep.
Hopefully tonight is where it's the actual beginning and it just skyrockets into the moon. And even the bit he did at the end where he's just pointing at the fans from each side and the fans were popping, it's like, okay, keep that, because not only is it something like you can add to your character as far as fire interaction, even though it is a bit Hulk Hogan with the ear and stuff. But it shows Vince that if they're invested in you just pointing at them and they pop like mad, they're behind you. And there are rumours of since his performance at Mania, Vince has gone, all right, let's do something with it.
Okay.
So, yeah, very good match. One of my favourites of the weekend.
Yeah.
And definitely Mania worthy.
100%.
Next was the Raw Tag Team Championship.
Yeah. So it was AJ and Omos. It was Omos' debut into the wrestling ring against the New Day. I loved that Biggie came out with them to do the classic New Day intro. It was nice, just getting all hyped up and everything, and then let them go off down to the ring. The match was good, but it was more of a story match than a wrestling match, which.
It's all about the hot tag.
Yeah, it was all about the hot tag to Omos. This was the showcase for Omos, which I get and I understand, and that's important because he's massive. It's his debut. Totally understand that. The only problem was with it being more of a story match than a wrestling match is looking at the talent that's in there. AJ Styles and the New Day, these guys can fucking go when they need to, and they could have really gone here. But I felt like there was a little bit being held back. Like they could have done more than they did. It was fun. I still enjoyed it. The New Day acting a little bit heelish in areas, which was quite fun, and taunting them and everything, and to basically say you're not getting Omos tagged in, it ain't happening, and keeping AJ away from him. So yeah, I didn't mind it, and then Omos came in and just basically obliterated them and pins a former WWE champion with 1 foot to get the gold. So obviously the Omos and AJ are now your tag champs. I'm fine with it. I expected it. It's not like it didn't, and it doesn't really hurt New Day because, the New Day. They don't. Again, they're in Daniel Bryan territory. If they lose, it doesn't matter. They've already done so much with the tag titles that they can lose and put over the right person. And this wasn't about putting AJ over, not at all, because it didn't need to be. It was about showcasing Omos and giving him that opportunity. So it was fine. It was means to an end. It was a fun story. I enjoyed it. It's just, with the people that were involved, I just wanted a lot more, and I didn't feel like we got that. So it was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, it was very... The whole story with the hot tag to Omos was pretty much from the opening bell. AJ was struggling against New Day. And New Day were always like cutting off the ring, doing the tag team tactics, doing their New Day stuff to keep AJ out of his corner. Which I understood, and I'm fine with it. What I would have done is have AJ make it clear to Omos, like, I know you're the man, but I'm the phenomenal one here. I'm going to pretty much take care of this. So he could have had the whole back and forth with Xavier and Kofi at first of like, I'm that damn good, I can do this. Then begin to struggle of like, okay, I might need to tag the big guy in. Obviously Xavier and Kofi keep stopping it. And then as we get to like what actually happened in the match, as soon as Omos was in, both Kofi and Xavier were like, oh shit. Because they're selling him, and they sold him well. Because allegedly, he's not that great as a wrestler yet. But Vince says the fetish for the big guy.
Yeah, but neither was Big Show when he debuted. He had to work at it. So you play to his strengths, and putting him in a tag team is playing to his strengths because you can protect him where he's weak.
Yeah, but Big Show had a very little experience he had with WCW. Where Omos, I don't know how long he's been there in the Performance Center, but they booked him the right way of, stand there, have them bounce off you, and literally all you got to do is smack them, and they're going to sell it like they just got shot. And it worked. So, Omos just literally like laughing off moves, hardly moving, and yet they were like, it was almost like he was flicking bugs around. Looked like killed Kofi Kingston pretty much, and then it was AJ who yelled, just put your foot over him.
Yeah.
And it was that dominant thing. So AJ not only now is a Grand Slam champion, which is kind of history for AJ to create their make at WrestleMania, but it's the obvious storyline of who's going to beat them because of how dominant they are. When they do lose it, it's probably going to be AJ's fault. And that might be the time where Omos goes, you idiot, you cost us, I'm out of here.
Yeah, because he's very reserved at the moment. We don't have too much for him. So I think that, when they eventually bring to the split up, but it needs to be AJ's fault and he needs to go ballistic on him.
Yeah, but it needs to happen when Omos is ready as an athlete and as a character to be on his own.
Yeah, and again, this is why it's a good thing to put him in that tag team. You can build him up slowly while keeping him constantly on the roster, so we can get to know him, like him. He can work at his in-ring abilities, and they can slowly build this story over time, so that by the time he's ready to wrestle and properly, they can split them up. It's easy. It's good. Good way to do it.
Well, it's kind of pun intended. He is phenomenal. So it's very well documented. I didn't think he'd like his spot on the card because it's well documented that for months he was trying for a one-on-one match with Triple H. Didn't come into tuition because Triple H just didn't have the time to train. And I understand that, especially during the pandemic, there's other shit going on.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen, but the tag division's been very weak recently. So if anything, AJ could be almost the catalyst to go, let's make it mean something again and have it stronger again. So I'm fine with them holding those tag titles for ages.
Yeah.
As long as AJ keeps putting the titles over and he gets the heel heat over enough for the fans to be invested enough to go, I want these guys to lose the belt.
Yeah, where they're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, and when Omos is ready, I'm fine with Omos Braun Strowman at next year's Mania.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Those two colliding is going to be like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, next match, the cage match.
Yes, so Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a cage match. It's the first cage match since WrestleMania 4, I think, which is weird. 2, bloody hell. Yeah.
So,
it was a match I just couldn't give a shit about because it was the Brains versus Braun shit they decided to do. And it was all based around Shane calling him stupid. And it was so juvenile and childish and a pathetic kind of excuse for a story that I couldn't give less of a shit. And that's bad because Shane, when he's pushed into a corner and put into matches like cage matches and Hell in a Cells and stuff, he excels. Braun Strowman is a big dude that we actually, for the most part, all like. You know what I mean? So this should have been a match made in heaven. This should have been good, but the storyline just sucked all the joy out of it. Having said that, the match was all right. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't a clinic. It wasn't I think it was probably just under WrestleMania worthy, I would say. It wasn't WrestleMania worthy completely. But it had some fun moments.
It could have happened at any pay-per-view, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It could have happened at any pay-per-view. And it was fun, though. I mean, I liked the fact that he got attacked at the start by Elias and the Riker prick that I don't like. Personally, as a person, I don't like him. And then, they get into the wrestling match, and then it looks like he's going to escape. And I love the fact that he's waving goodbye to Braun and everything. Braun grabs his hand, rips the cage off, which I thought was a cool spot, dragged him in like he's birthing a sweaty man-child, just dragged him through, took him to the top, saying, who's stupid now, threw him off the top, went down, power slam, good night, Braun wins. Of course Braun wins. I didn't think it would go any other way, to be honest. But, it had those fun spots. It did those moments that, kind of expected, and, it was fun. But like I say, it wasn't WrestleMania worthy. It was good, it was solid, but unfortunately, the story just ruined it for me, really. So it was never going to really fire me up the way I wanted it to.
The story was weak and transparent to the point you may as well have put it Braun Strowman versus Shane, sponsored by Beer Star. You may as well have done
you should have.
Cut and dry, it's a bullying thing. You shouldn't call people stupid. Blah, 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 blah. So, but as far as the whole ticking boxes for what was good and bad at Mania, I'm going to tick it as a good for me.
It was good. I'm not saying it was bad. It's not like I looked at it and said it was bad. It was good. It was just not what I wanted it to be. Really.
Yeah, but I originally thought Shane might win because going in, I thought Shane's crazy. There's a cage there. I think they're going to replay the Kevin Owens spot where Shane gets thrown off the cage through the commentator table, but technically wins the match. But not only, in hindsight now, it's like one of those, if the storyline is Braun being stupid, him doing that spot would be stupid because he'd lose the
just
match.
Prove his point.
Yeah, so, the cage match, what it was, a couple of coast to coasts and blah, 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 blah. Again, apart from that coast to coast, before the cage got ripped off, I can't really remember a lot more.
Yeah, it was a slow build up until, like I say, the Coast to Coast kicked it in, and then it went up a gear, and that was when it went to all the bits we mentioned.
But obviously, Shane getting thrown off again. When I knew it wasn't getting through the table, I thought he could go through the ring and still win the match. But again, I probably didn't think this far ahead of, like, if he goes through the ring, they're going to have to quickly fix the ring.
Yeah, they'd have to switch out all the mat and everything, and I bet that'd take too long. So
he splatted on that fucking thing, which my brother kind of got the arse about a bit, because he was there like, what? It was a pointless spot. I was like, what are you talking about? And one of the things I agree with is, like, Shane, you're 50. Keep it down a bit. You know, you can't do this. And it looked like it just was going to hurt. And I was like, but surely every other spot Shane has ever done is kind of like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
so
that's his gimmick.
I took it for what the spot was. They wanted to create a Mania moment. And I think they did.
Yeah.
Because, but it's one of those things, like, for the fans that were there, being like, oh, I remember seeing Shane get chucked up the cage and just splatting down fucking hard on the mat. And, Braun got the win, and it's that whole, the good guy won, he's not stupid.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And at least with this, it's like, it's a one and done. There's no need for this to carry on, so it's over, isn't it? So let's move on.
Yeah, it was one of those where maybe Shane's got that thing of, like, I know I don't wrestle much, but I like wrestling WrestleMania, and let's give Braun something to do. So that was that. Next was a very surprising match for me. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison.
Yes. Now, obviously, there was an obvious reason why this was a thing, because Bad Bunny's a big celebrity, especially in America and Mexico and all around that kind of area. Because I don't really know much, but he is quite a big star. So it was obviously the celebrity kind of marquee match, which is fine. It's happened before. You know, they've done it quite a few times. And for the most part, all the other ones have been fine. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best celebrity match that they've ever had at WrestleMania. And a lot of it is down to Bad Bunny and how well he actually did it. Yes, I understand that, like, Morrison and Miz helped, with his dancing partner, it helped do stuff. When he did that Canadian Destroyer on the outside, yes, most of that was Morrison helping him out, but he made it look believable. He made it work. Just all the stuff that he did. And I was thoroughly impressed with him. I really was. I looked at him and thought, mate, you are clearly a fan of this and fan of this wrestling business. So you wanted to make it look believable that you could go and have a match. And, knowing that you're going to be on the grandest stage of them all, feel like you belong there. And I think he did. There was some great spots, a lot of fun going on. And, I can't really complain. It was a solid match, and I was very thoroughly impressed with them. And, yes, it was mainly towards Bad Bunny, but, Damian Priest got plenty of a showing as well. It was a good kind of first kind of foot in the door moment for him at Mania, and hopefully that'll lead him on to good things as well. So, I can't really complain.
Yeah, well, originally it was going to be Miz versus Bad Bunny.
Yes.
Because Damian Priest and Morrison are actually injured, which is why they weren't wrestling much. But I understood why they changed it to the tag team of, like, look, you're not there to do much, but in case something goes wrong, because you're obviously celebrity, first match, you don't know if there's going to be a fuck up or whatnot. You need to be there as almost an insurance kind of thing. So, but now in hindsight, it's kind of like, fucking hell, if it was just Bad Bunny Miz, he could have handled himself anyway.
Yeah.
So, Miz and Morrison did great of selling the whole you're nothing to the shock and surprise of, bloody hell, this guy's good. Starts off with the basic, like, I was just throwing a few hands here, like most celebrities do in this situation, blah, blah, blah. Starts showing that he's picked up some moves. I was like, okay, this is good. Then you kind of, forget, like, Priest hasn't been tagged in, but Bad Bunny's kind of carrying the match by himself here. And then, it was a showcase of, like, Miz's frustration. Bad Bunny's pretty much just showing the moves off that he's picked up. A bit of back and forth. And then, obviously, it kind of broke down to, like, when Priest and Morrison got involved. That Canadian Destroyer on the outside blew my mind.
Yeah, it was perfect. And, again, like I said, it was, Morrison helping him along with it, because, of course, it is. That's how it works when you perform the move. But it didn't look bad. It didn't look wrong. It didn't feel like, oh, celebrity version. No, it was a solid and well-done Canadian Destroyer.
Well, in front of them as well, obviously, Miz and Priest, obviously, their job is to sell what just happened. But I think partially their faces were the same as mine of, holy shit, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Because not only that performing that move, but the Canadian Destroyer is one of those moves that Vince bans a lot of the time. So it wouldn't surprise me if Priest or someone, if Bad Bunny said, no, I want to do this move, I can do it. And they've just gone, do it. Because A, that's your Mania moment, and B, what's he going to do, fire you?
Yeah, he can't fire you. You don't fucking work for him.
Yeah, make your moment. So, yeah, great match. Again, I thought the heels might have got away with the victory, but after the performance, it's like, no, Bad Bunny and Priest deserve that victory.
Yeah.
Because apparently, his entrance was okay, coming out on the roof.
Yeah, the big truck thing, yeah, it was fun. Didn't mind that, it was cool.
Yeah, and apparently he's been in the Performance Centre, like, pretty much every day since he knew he was going to be performing at Mania. And I respect the hell out of that.
I respect the hell out of that.
So, yeah, definitely the best celebrity match in WrestleMania history.
100%.
I don't know if I still prefer Pat McAfee's performance in NXT.
Yeah, because he was good. Not only was he a good wrestler, he was a good fucking talker as well.
Yeah.
He had the whole package.
Yeah. It's one thing to be a talker, but when that bell rang and I saw what he was doing, I was like, holy shit, this guy's a celebrity and never wrestled before.
Yeah.
So, nothing for praise for Bad Bunny. And mainly because of Bad Bunny's performance, one of the matches of the night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kudos to him. Great. Main event.
Yes, and I'm really happy they put this on at last, really, because I thought to myself, originally it was going to be Drew and Bobby, which I would be fine with, because, again, if Drew was going to be the winner. But I thought to myself, no, I feel like if you're going to do 2 nights, I think it's only fair for one of them to be the women's and one of them to be the men. That's fair. And if you're going forward with 2 nights at Mania every single year, you should always do that. And this, Belair versus Sasha for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The problem I had going into this match was that WWE have done everything in their power to make me not give a shit. That's the problem. Like, as soon as she won that Rumble, I was like, fucking yes, I'm really happy for this. I want Belair at the top. Let's do this. She picked Sasha. I was like, perfect. I'm so into this. This is going to be awesome. And then as time went on, they just did more and more stuff building up to it on SmackDown with like roll-up losses and all this kind of stuff from people, and then involving the Nia Jax and Shayna and Reginald all the fucking time. All this like massive, too many fingers in the pie. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous to the point where I got to it and going, I don't care anymore. You've made me not care. And I was like, why are you making me not care about this? But the second that they came out with the promo that was on top of it, which again, they nail promos all the time. The video packages, they're so good at it, and they make you get invested again, and it did. But the emotion that was there, especially with Belair, like she was welling up at the start before the bell even rang. And not just the fact that she's headlining, but the fact that 2 black women are headlining at WrestleMania with the crowd back for the first time in every year. There's just so many emotions. It's just so much on the output that I can understand her emotion, and it was just incredible to see that. And then, the match kicks in, and it's amazing. Absolutely incredible. It really was incredible.
As soon as they announced this match, because of my lack of investment, I was like, I'm going for a piss. I watched the entrances, but during the whole, in this corner, I was like, I really don't care. So I missed the fact that they had a standing ovation before the match even started. But I was like, I was told about it, so I was like, okay. And I sat down, the bell rang, and they just went for it.
Yeah.
And not many, exactly. There is some unique spots in there, but there's none I can really put my finger on. But that's a good thing, because it was just one of those where, yes, they did this, yes, they did that, but there's so many things they did right and they didn't fuck up, and they just did a solid, organic, WrestleMania-worthy wrestling match that I was like, this is cool. The bit that stood out the most was the last part, that hair whip.
Oh my god! Shit. Just honestly, it echoed like a gunshot in the arena.
Stadium.
Yeah. And it
echoes in the stadium.
It was ridiculous, and then you could just see that it just split her skin completely. It was amazing, honestly, because she hasn't done the hair whip thing. I I think since
In a
NXT.
while.
I don't think she's done it on
yeah.
the main roster. If she has, it's been a lackluster version of it. But with this, like, I'm pretty sure they just said, look, let's just go for it and make it proper. And you know it wasn't a leg slap because Vince has banned those at the moment. So you knew that smack was genuine, and Christ, it was amazing. And then obviously that follows up in... Yeah.
I left bored of a see that.
I was like, fucking hell! And then that obviously transitioned into the KOD for the win. Bianca Belair as your SmackDown Women's Champion. The emotion was incredible. The fireworks going off, that moment she got was absolutely incredible. I thought someone was jumping over the barrier, and then I realised it was her dad, who's so jacked up that his daughter's won that he almost fell over the barrier. I just thought some random fan had got so invested he decided to run over. But no, yeah, he was so jacked he almost went over. And yeah, just the perfect ending to, you know, to the night, and perfect for her. There was even a video of Sasha after the match as well that I think it was doing the rounds on YouTube. Someone videoed her, and she's lying on the floor, you know, trying to be all disappointed that she's lost, but she just completely breaks character, and she's smiling and just so happy for Bianca getting that moment, and it's incredible. Honestly, it was a fairy tale ending to this character that we've stuck with since NXT.
Yeah, Michael Cole nearly fucked her up when he's I was like freaking out. I was like, she kicked out. I'm like,
no, she didn't.
And even in the replay, it's like, the shoulders are still solidly on the mat during the count. What the fuck were you watching? Jesus, you had one job.
Just one.
And then it's like the tag team turmoil thing, where the guy announced the wrong team and got eliminated.
Yes!
He's like, correction. I'm like, oh, you fucking
I know, right? And that was around the time where all the botches were happening. So I was like, oh, is this what the night's going to be like? Botchamania.
It was a bit of a botchamania, but yeah, so... Yeah, it's one of the, again, I can't remember, apart from the hair whip, I can't remember specific spots as such, but it's one of those now that, I think that's my favourite WrestleMania main event closer since Mania 30, as far as the quality of wrestling.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I've enjoyed some of the closing Mania matches, but a lot of them are to do with, you know, spots or interferences, and blah, 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 blah. As far as pure wrestling, that's up there. So if it's one of those matches where if someone wants to get into wrestling, I'll be like, you know, I can't really tell you specific spots, not because I don't want to ruin it, but I can't remember it, but watch this match because you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, that hair whip just keeps coming back because even in an arena, if that happened, you'd be like, fucking hell, that hurt, but it must have echoed to make it sound worse. In a stadium, you don't really get an echo.
Yeah.
So it's just, wow, what the fuck just happened? And I'm guessing Sasha greenlit it of like, yeah, do it and just go to town on me. But I kind of hope that Bianca just thought, yeah, she told me to do it, but fuck it, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I'll apologise later. But yeah, great match. I love that Bianca won. Apparently, Montez Ford came out and celebrated.
Yes, he did, but yeah, it's after the cameras went off. So I did see footage of that as well, and yeah, just put her on his shoulders and celebrated.
Yeah. It was the feel-good moment to end the night, and it kind of comes clear why with the way night 2 ends, but we'll get to that as we go on to night 2 now. So, night 2, rumours of more Storm shit, but luckily...
They avoided it.
Really
nothing. No delays, which was a surprise that they kicked straight in.
Yeah, well, we've got Hogan and Titus Pirates.
Yeah, and Hogan still being booed.
Just, I'm not going to say anything.
I just want Hogan to go away. Just go away forever and don't come back. I don't like you. You were never really that good anyway. You're a character spot man. You're not a wrestler. Go away.
Yeah, it's like, I get it. You're great. You're the biggest star in your era. You're still going to be one of the biggest stars in wrestling history. But your time is done. Go away and take Ric Flair with you.
And maybe take some fucking training on how not to be a racist scumbag.
Yeah. It's just, like, I get why, even though I don't like Rick being there all the time, I kind of understand it when he's in the whole Charlotte in Charlotte's Corner kind of thing. It's like, okay, I understand it partially, but it's there. Both of them are obviously just trying to hold on to the spotlight that no longer belongs to them anymore. So, yeah, that was that. So, yeah, opens with Orton versus The Fiend. which I thought was suspicious to open with at first.
Yes, I thought that. I said, why are they opening up with this first? And I started having flashbacks to the first match on night one. As I mentioned earlier in this podcast, it became abundantly clear why they put it on first. I was kind of going into this match thinking, right, the build's been okay, but not amazing. Although Alexa, I have enjoyed. I can't say I haven't. She's done incredible stuff. But when the match kind of kicked in, the weird thing is that we had Kentucky Fried Fiend, and then he went through this kind of portal thing and became regular Fiend again, but with a kind of updated mask. And
he healed himself.
Yeah, and I know he has the hurt heel thing on his gloves, but I just thought that's such an abrupt thing considering we had over a month and a half with nothing. Then he comes back as Crispy Fried Fiend, and then suddenly he's back to normal again. It's like, I wanted a bit more of a reason for him to heal than just, I walked through a portal. You know what I mean? It seemed a little bit abrupt. However, the intro of him coming out in the Jack in the Box that Alexa wound up and that was all great. Loved all that. Yeah. Even though that Michael called it a box-like structure. Yeah. It's a Jack in the Box! It's a box! It's a box! It's not a box-like structure, it's a box!
It's like saying the nose on your face, he's got a nasal-like formation on his face. It's a nose!
He's got a kind of hairy kind of beard. It's a beard!
It's a beard.
Yeah, so that was good. But the rest of the match, it wasn't... it was usual Fiend stuff of him no-selling a lot of stuff. And then Alexa coming back with... don't get me wrong, the visual was incredible.
Oh my God,
cross-legged on the box-like structure with him with a black crown just pissing blood all the way down her face, looking demonic. I was like, that's cool. But then they went and pulled the rug straight underneath us because that was a distraction for the Fiend, who got RKO'd by Orton and pinned by Orton. And then Orton just got shocked and ran off. And then the lights go black, come back on, and they're gone. And the crowd are booing heavy for that result. And it makes it obvious why they put it on first. Because again, Vince will look at it and go, they'll get over it by the end of the night. And it's like, no, we won't. That was stupid. All this build-up and all this thing with this new Fiend and going forward with an updated character, like he's gone Super Saiyan Fiend, and then just to revert back to the normal thing, not really have much of a match more than him no-selling stuff and doing the kind of usual stuff you would expect from the two of them, and then just to have him lose from one RKO. If it was like 3 RKOs or something like that, then I would have accepted it a little bit more. But this was a Fiend win all the way, and it should have been a Fiend win all the way. There was no reason for Orton to win. Yeah. It wouldn't have damaged Orton if he'd lost. It made no sense whatsoever. And it's just another notch in the Fiend's belt of he's not as important as we want him to be. And that's such a shame.
So many things, I just honestly could not believe it when Orton got the 3 count.
Yeah.
Because it was such an obvious choice. Not just because it's the Fiend's returned, it's all about that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but what does Orton benefit from this?
Nothing!
Yeah, absolutely nothing. So, yes, there's these circumstances where literally one tweak here and there makes it perfect. And Jericho even said it back in the day, when Vince was actually smart. Jericho would put an idea in front of him, I want to do this, and Vince just goes, why don't you just change this bit? And he goes, it's even better. It's a million times better. Now it's gone the opposite way.
Yeah, because he's still stuck in that old way where it doesn't work anymore and he's deluding out of touch, but he thinks that his little tweak makes the difference. So he goes, let's do this. But what if Orton wins? And no one has got the balls to say to him, no, don't do that, because he's, like Punk said, he's surrounded by little glad-handed yes men, and that's the problem.
I mean, I would understand more if... I get the whole... I was less angry than everybody else. I was still pissed, but I was less angry because I was like, right, I understand what they're doing. I disagree with Orton winning 100%. But with the Alexa thing, it's like, it's another story and character arc of like, why did she do it? What the fuck happened? How do we find out? We tune into next week's Raw. It's to keep the fans invested in something. But, I think it pretty much backfired. But, as far as tweaks, I mean, sometimes Vince might be right in the case of, let's do this because it's the last thing they'll see coming. Case in point, the streak.
Yes. So it was a shock, but in hindsight, when they've explained it and thoroughly, it's fine. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But it took a long time for us to accept it. For this just doesn't make any sense, and I don't think it ever will make any sense.
But there's still a tweak at Mania 30, and this is the Mania 30 streak ending tweak is nothing to do with Vince. It was just the unfortunate fact that Taker got concussed, so the match standard wasn't great.
Yeah.
But that was out of anyone's control. With this one, the only tweak that would have made sense was the Fiend to dominate Orton, defeat Orton, and during his entrance, the fire goes off, and he looks at Alexa, and it's like, what the fuck? And then, if you want to keep Orton a little bit more in there, while Bray's distracted, RKO, just for good measure, slithers away, then Alexa turns out the lights and they're both gone. And it's like, because even with that, it'd be like, it would be perfectly clear to the fans of like, Alexa's now in control. Bray's her bitch. And I've seen a bit of what Raw presented. It seems like they're just going to throw it under the rug.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it ended up being for nothing. It's
like, okay, you're going with this new dark, twisted Alexa Bliss character. Fine with that. But when Bray's Firefly Funhouse came about, it was like, oh yeah, she's a bitch, but I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
You could have an amazing story with this. Of like, because I don't know if it's the whole like, obviously we don't want men versus women intergender wrestling.
Yeah, but with something like that, you could have Alexa Bliss loads of mind games, sure, but have a new friend, and instead of that stupid fucking doll that's on the swing, instead have Bo Dallas as another Fiend to fight her corner. I mean, why not? He's sitting there still employed, and he's not doing anything.
I'm hoping they've got something in their back pocket, and I'm probably wrong. The Fiend does mean what he says of like, I'm gonna move on, another victim here and there, so just have a few pay-per-view matches. And then when he crosses Alexa again, as Firefly Funhouse Bray, he's terrified. And it's like, she's really got something over him.
Yeah.
Does something to him, which means he's off television for a while. And then, because it looks like Alexa's going to present a new dark character of her own, which I think might be her female version of the Fiend.
Yeah.
Where she'll wear a mask and stuff. I'd love it if she went on a rampage as her version, and with her women victims, she'll defeat them, do that thing where the lights slowly go out, and when the lights come back on, her opponent's just gone. Like, they're not in the ring, and she's standing there by herself. You could do a thing up to Mania where, she has a women's match at Mania, wins it. Dream match could be either Nikki Cross goes back to her mental state, and it's like, this is a story of a long time coming. The crazy Nikki Cross versus evil bitch Alexa. Awesome. Do that. Alexa still wins. Before she does the lights out thing where the opponent disappears, the ring fills up with dry ice first, so it's completely covered in smoke. The lights go out, lights come back on, and you think, oh, well, there's smoke all in the ring, but obviously Nikki's disappeared. Nikki has disappeared, but from the smoke, the Fiend pops up.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, he's back. Alexa's shocked, but doesn't back off. And then maybe he just grabs her and the lights go out again and they come back on and they both disappear. Again, another story arc of what's going to happen now. Bray's come back for revenge and he's actually going to get it on this bitch.
Yeah.
Because they need to create a storyline at some point for Alexa to go back to normal, I think.
Yeah, because she hasn't really wrestled much. So she needs to wrestle again.
Yeah, so everything apart from that match, I either thought was passable, liked, or loved, apart from who won. It was a needless victory for Randy
Pointless.
Orton, and it left a bad taste in the mouth so much that the fans shit on it, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, neither do I. And it also, like I say, it makes it less believable that the Fiend is this dominant force that we want him to be.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, and if they knew going in that the fans really would react that way, why even do it?
Yeah.
It just boggles my mind. So, and unfortunately, it's not onto better things because next was the Women's Tag Championship.
Yeah, nothing really of note. The only thing I would say is that the people were quite behind Tamina.
Yeah, what's going on?
I don't know.
Were they paid up?
I don't know. It just they were quite behind her getting this build up towards her taking out Nia Jax, and she almost does, but obviously they don't. They, in the end, there's a retention there, so fine. But they all get good showings. They all do their thing, but it wasn't WrestleMania worthy. It wasn't anything of real note. It was just, I would say that was it was a standard pay-per-view match. It was nothing really big. The only thing I can think of is that the people were popping for Tamina. That's it. And
possibly pay-per-view worthy. More probably SmackDown main event worthy. Than anything else.
I probably agree.
Compared to the other SmackDown, other women's tag championship matches that have been happening recently, it was up there a little bit. But I was just kind of going into this like, again, I don't really care. Shayna needs to be by herself now. I thought they might have to change titles, change hands. Sorry. Because I thought this could be the catalyst of like Natty and Tamina finally got their WrestleMania moment, new women's tag champions, Nia and Shayna could split up because of it.
Yes.
But they went with the retain, which I would say bothered me, but I was so uninvested by it, I just didn't care.
Yeah, and again, they've done everything in their power to make us not really care about Jackson Baszler, even though they should be the most dominant force in the women's division. They're not. Yeah. They don't feel like a threat to me.
I mean, again, if you've got the Tamina fans out there, fine, but I personally can't get my head around why. I don't think she's done anything special of note in her whole time in the company.
Yeah.
So it's one of them. Maybe, hopefully, they thought in their heads, like, right, let's champ Tamina, give her a WrestleMania moment, she'll be happy, then she'll retire. It's something like that. I don't know, but it was... With Mania, I never think there should be a filler match.
No.
That was the filler match.
And the great thing about it being 2 nights now is that you don't need a piss break match, because people can... No. I can hold my pee in for 3.5 hours. I can do that. Yeah. Just about, but I can do it.
Your piss break is the night you get to sleep in between the 2 shows. So, it was what it was.
Yeah,
There's not really nothing to say about it, so we can move on quite quick.
Yep.
Kevin versus Sami.
I mean, I knew this was going to be good. It's Kevin versus Sami Zayn. I'm annoyed that we don't get a big story going in and like it's for a championship or anything like that. It's, it's kind of throwaway because of the storyline and everything. This Sami being taken the piss off by a WWE, gets Logan Paul involved, which fine, I understand how I know how popular he is, but I don't like him as a person as well. He's made quite a lot of homophobic slurs in the past. He's done some questionable things. He's always on fucking drugs, so why would you want a kid liking wrestling searching that person? You know what I mean? So, but they do it because he's popular on YouTube. The match was good, like really solid. They played back and forth with each other exactly as I expected them to do, and that's not a knock. That is exactly what I wanted from them. They just did amazing stuff, plenty of apron-like stuff, pop powerbomb to kick in. They even had a moment where they went back to their Battleground 2014 match where he hits him with the haluva kick and holds on to him a bit, and then he goes back in for it, but then Owens gets the upper hand. I think it was with a clothesline or something, and then he goes... Super kick, that was it. Yeah. And then he goes for the stunner for the win, which, Owens winning is the 100% right call. Perfect, loved that. Really enjoyed it. It was just the perfect chemistry in the ring, which is exactly what I expected from these guys. And even afterwards as well, with Logan Paul coming in, again, as I'm saying, I don't like the guy. I don't like what he stands for, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a fan of him. But I will say that, once he shaked off Sami and Sami went off on a huff, I was praying for Owens to hit him with that stunner. Yeah. Just a proper Austin moment. And then, when he hit it as well, and I'll credit where credit is due, Logan took that stunner perfectly. He did a really good reaction to it. I cannot take that away from him. Yeah, but it was just a fun thing to end. Proper Austin moment of him just, no, I don't care whether you like me. Stunner, bye.
My confidence in both Sami and Kevin is thus... My only concerns were I don't want Logan Paul getting involved in the match because he doesn't need to.
Yeah, and he didn't.
No, and he didn't. And it was the whole. And it wasn't a concern. It was just kind of like, that's a shame. obviously Kevin wanted to jump off the ship.
Yes, I was going to get to that. It's a little bit disappointing that it didn't get that because I know how badly he wanted it.
Yeah, cause going in, I just thought, well, maybe the whole thing with Logan Paul is to help Sami. He can pull the ref out and knock him out. Kevin goes to attack Logan or chases Logan up the ramp. Sami chases after him, and it goes from there. The other concern was with when Logan Paul turned face. I was like, I don't want the face thing where Kevin's like, yeah, well done, you're on the right side now, let's celebrate together. Because I didn't want that. The fans there didn't want it. So as soon as Kevin started looking at him like, nah, I was like, yeah, the stuff is coming. Yeah. The match was, and again, I don't mean this as a knock as such, exactly what I wanted, exactly what I expected, and exactly what I got. But almost to the T of like every single move they did, I've seen before. And that's not a bad thing because it made a fantastic match. But even they say, like, we wanted a 25-minute clinic, they gave it 12 minutes.
Yes, and this is one of the things I was going to come to. I could have gone for at least another 6 to 7 minutes. Like, it could have gone more. Like, it was a great match, but it kind of ended and I went, I could have gone for more there. Hence why the pirate ship jump probably should have happened, really, because that would have added that extra X factor to make it even bigger than it was.
Yeah, I think if they had more time, they would have had more time to experiment, to create a story within the match. And I think Kevin went on, it was either Kevin or Sami, they went on Twitter or whatnot and said, 1 in 25, we've got 12, so the 12 minutes you got would have been the last part of our 25-minute battle if it had happened. So they kind of had to rush it all in together. But saying that, still a great match.
Yep.
Still... Yeah, I'd say still Mania worthy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely Mania worthy. I wouldn't say it was the best Mania match ever, but it was Mania worthy.
Yes, and it's again because the story was weak. To me, it didn't really matter who won or lost, but I'm fine with Kevin winning. I loved Sami dancing to Logan's music.
Yeah, he's
such a dork, isn't he?
He's such a dork, and the only thing I would say now is like, fucking hell, have a haircut in the shower. It's just I can smell you from here. It's getting annoying.
He has released the trailer for his documentary.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
I really want to watch it on the network. If they release it on the network, be like, just because it would get his character more over, because obviously it's going to be an actual mockumentary more than anything else. And it would just get Sami over with the fans of like, how delusional is this prick? But enjoyed the match for exactly what it was advertised for and exactly what it was. Got no problems with it. Next was United States Championship.
Yeah.
Riddle versus Sheamus, which again didn't go into invested, but they kicked the shit out of each other.
Yeah, and again, this was the problem was going into this Mania as a whole. There was a lot of last minute storylines just to get to a Mania match. So there's a lot of times you're going in and going, I'm not really that invested. However, with the people in the ring, Sheamus has been going on one of the best runs of his career. I've been quite enjoying him. And then you got Riddle. He's the new guy, and although he is a little bit annoying sometimes with his bro shit all the time and acting like he's a stupid stoner, which we all know is Vince thinking it's hilarious, when he's in the ring, it is all business. And like you say, they kicked the shit out of each other, and it was a really good, solid match. They had a great match on, I think it was SmackDown a while back, and really enjoyed that. That showed that these guys had good chemistry. It showed this again. They did everything that they needed to do, all the spots. I mean, he went for a white noise off the top rope and botched it, but he recovered it in such a way that it didn't annoy me because he fell down. He landed on his feet with Riddle still on him, and you could see he was annoyed and kind of had a quick glance at where he'd fucked up. And I don't know whether he looked directly at the screen, but it kind of made it look like he was looking at us going, fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. Bang, and I'll just drop it here. So he recovered it really well. And the other thing that stood out to me was the ending. Oh my God, that was so perfect. Just how he went for that moonsault and then bro kicked him midair, even split his mouth open in blood to take the pin, and Sheamus is your new US champ. Yeah, I'm annoyed that Riddle doesn't hold the belt anymore because, he should be being built up because he's the new guy. But they did it in such a way where I'm not disappointed in this loss because Riddle put in a hell of a showing. He did really well. He just got caught out when he went too far with a move, and the veteran seized that opportunity with a big bastard bro kick to put him away. And really enjoyed it. I think the story was told very well. It was paced quite well as well. They did everything they needed to do. They got me invested in a match that I wasn't that bothered about, and I'm not disappointed at the winner.
No, it was a match where, again, afterwards, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, that passed as a Mania match. Fantastic. Going in, I was just kind of like, okay, let's see what happens. The investment started for me with the top rope belly to belly.
Yes.
They just flew. I was like, okay, they're going for it here. And just with the Sheamus situation, and I mean this as a compliment. A few years ago, I think it was on one of Austin's podcasts, Triple H. It was like word description, and he said Kane, a solid, dependable. Sheamus is that guy now, and I mean that as a huge compliment.
He is.
Yeah, every match he has, he puts in 110%. You can put him anywhere on the card. He's a top tier wrestler.
Yeah, and if you need someone to feed for a big championship kind of storyline, you can always chuck him in there, and it wouldn't not work. Yeah,
he's quickly climbing the ladder of respect within the locker room and the fans, and that's a fantastic thing. So, the white noise off the top rope thing was a shame that it didn't work out, but as soon as he slipped, even I was like, I wouldn't go for it again, because at the best of days, it's a dangerous spot. There's a lot of weight up there, and you've got those weather conditions going on. Just, do it, do the white noise, recover, go from there.
Yeah.
And, like I say, you said the broke it was perfect, which it was and it wasn't. Because obviously the wasn't part was Riddle actually got hurt.
Yeah, he did, but it added to the drama.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. The fact that he was bleeding from the mouth, from the kayfabe point of view, is like, wow, that broke it really took it out of him. Of course he lost. And I like the fact that afterwards, Sheamus was kind of looking down on him with the US Championship, and Riddle was looking up, looking pissed off, slightly pissed off. It was like, right, this could lead to a slightly more aggressive Riddle, which might add a bit of flavour to him.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, it didn't show that in Raw. He was just being himself again on his scooter. But maybe, I mean, I'd say maybe he was looking really pissed off because he was like, he got me. He saw that advantage. Yeah. He saw that open window when I took a chance, and he exploited it and took the title. So he was maybe more annoyed at himself that he lost it that way.
I mean, yes, there was a lack of story, but the story that was kind of made on the fly was, these are just two competitors seeing who the better man is right now. And we'll determine that with the United States Championship. That's fine. So, Sheamus is the new United States Champion. Next was the Nigerian drum battle.
Yeah, it's the Intercontinental thing, Biggie versus Apollo. And this was actually one of the matches going in I was quite invested in because I like Biggie. I think he's been doing really well by himself because I was worried that he'd get lost in the shuffle, but he hasn't. He's got himself in a nice, solid upper mid-card area. I've enjoyed his time as Intercontinental Champion. I was bored with Apollo, but then they rebranded him with this Nigerian thing, and I've really been invested in him. And they managed to get me reinvested in a feud that had burned out previously. And that's a difficult thing to do, to get you reinvested in something that's been burnt out a few weeks prior. With this new gimmick that I really am enjoying, and I think it makes him more relevant. I enjoyed the match, but it was a bit short. Like I thought it would have gone longer. I also kind of got annoyed that yes, they used tables and kendo sticks and all this kind of stuff, and it was quite like the steel steps. I think it was a uranagi on the steel steps at some point. Yeah, all that kind of stuff, like that was all great and what expected. It was just that it was called a Nigerian drum fight, and none of the drums at any point even came into play. So I was like, that's a bit weird. It's like they're there just for decoration. So what's the difference between this and a street fight? Nothing, really.
Yeah, I said that. It should have just been a no disqualification match or a street fight.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the point? I mean, it looked nice, it looked appealing, but it amounted to nothing. But I said the thing was good. I like when Apollo sounded off on Biggie with the kendo, like just constantly. He was giving no gaps. He just kept going wailing on him. The uranagi on the steel steps was good. There were some other spots as well. I think it was one through a table at some point and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the ending was. This is the thing. I'm on the fence with this because
I was about to say.
One thing I've been like, Apollo's been really, really kind of good with this character, and I wanted that solid, I can do this alone, dominant win over Big E, and that's what it looked like it was going towards. But then Dabba-Kato comes out with this new gimmick, which I think he's getting a retitle as well.
Yeah.
He came out, he screwed over Big E, I think it was chokeslam or something like that, and then pulled Apollo over the top of him. Apollo is now your new Intercontinental Champion. And at the same time, I was annoyed and kind of shocked at the same time, because at no point did I think this was ever going to happen. I'd forgotten about Dabba-Kato completely, and the fact that he popped up, I was in such a panic. I was like, "Oh, it's the dude from Underground, Dabba-Kato." I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember. Is it him?
I didn't even know who he was. I didn't watch Underground. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it was. I was in a panic, and then because I was like, I was kind of annoyed that Apollo didn't get that dominant win. But I am kind of happy with this shock thing that I didn't expect. And I don't mind Apollo being the Intercontinental Champion because it works for his heel character. So I am on the fence, but I'm cautiously optimistic about what's going on going forward. You've got a new guy in the fold. Apollo can still be dominant, I'm kind of hoping. And his heel character works. And hopefully going forward, we're going to see these two together and they will work. So it was weird, but it was shocking, but it was good in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Zach was very, my brother, for the listeners, was very, quite peeved off with this whole thing. He was peeved off going in because he was just kind of like, well, Jesus, God, he's had 7 Intercontinental title shots already. This is ridiculous. Why is he getting another one? Well, I think this was his 7th. And I was like, it adds to the character of this heel guy always somehow getting it. It's like, but it wouldn't happen. You don't get a title shot. They should have gone to the back of the line ages ago. I was like, I'm taking it for what the story is. It's the bad guy that won't go away.
Yeah, but he should have, and it was like Zach's right in the fact that he should have gone to the back of the line. And Big E did tell him that. He said, "You failed. Yeah. You go to catering, get to the back of the line. You failed." And that is what spurred him on to have that heel turn and change his character, which again, it revitalised the feud. So although your brother is right, he's wrong in the fact that he didn't deserve that title shot, or the story didn't warrant it, because they made it work into their advantage that he should have gone to the back of the line. So he changed his the way he worked to go, I don't give a fuck what you think I should go to the back of the line. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm taking that title.
Yeah.
And they've moved forward.
It's the whole thing. He's lost too many times to deserve another title match, but he's made the story personal, and Weasel was weighing enough to keep getting them.
Yeah.
And he's obviously pissed off like you. He was like, why do a Nigerian drum battle when you're not going to use the drums?
Yes.
Should have been a street fight. I think he was annoyed with how... It was a good match. I think he was a bit annoyed that it wasn't a wow match and it was quite short.
Yeah, it was short.
And I agree with him in such sense of like was it Dabba-Kato?
Dabba-Kato, yeah.
Right. Coming in and debuting to help Apollo win and be this big guy. He's like, felt more like a Raw after WrestleMania. Maybe.
Yeah.
I agree, but I said the thing is, if that happened, you'd be bitching and moaning again because Apollo would have yet got another Intercontinental title shot. You would have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
Yeah, the match was, for what it was good. It was kind of pointless as far as the theme of the match. And I still don't think it's weakened Biggie.
No.
Because the whole point was to make the big guy look strong, to get the heel heat for Apollo, and it worked.
Yeah, and that all works fine. The only thing I'm going in tentatively about is that I don't want this to be a thing that now he's got the muscle behind him, he can be that sneaky, cheating heel. I don't want that. I don't mind him having some muscle and having a follower. That's fine. But don't make it the point where he cheats to win all the time now. Because that's what every kind of standard heel does these days. I don't want that, and I don't think that works for his character as this new Nigerian kind of warrior. It doesn't work for his character. I don't want him cheating to win. I want him to be decisive and dominant in his wins. I think maybe he was just using Dabba-Kato's insurance policy, and fingers crossed, going forward, he'll be dominant.
I think I'd be okay with like a 50-50 kind of thing of that, of like, some matches, he's like, with his newfound aggression and character, he dominates. Or even if he doesn't dominate, he still gets the victory. Others where it's like an opponent where you do go, okay, this guy's a threat. He could beat him. Every now and then, maybe a distraction or like a pull of the leg, or he just gets, the big guy puts Apollo's foot on the ropes. That kind of stuff, I'd be okay with. So, yeah, I'm okay with Apollo being Intercontinental Champion. And I'm okay with the way Big E lost, because if it was someone like Cedric Alexander coming in, doing his finisher to Big E, and then Apollo winning, I'd be like, as if Biggie would kick out of that.
Yeah.
But because it's this big, dominant monster who's like bigger than Big E, it's kind of like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, yeah, Apollo's the new Intercontinental Champion.
Yes, and optimistic going forward.
Yeah. Next was the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah,
which
so...
in hindsight should have gone on first.
Yes. Rhea versus Asuka. I like Rhea. I love Rhea.
Yeah.
And I love Asuka.
Yeah.
However, it's been painfully obvious over the last since Asuka's entire title run that they don't give a shit about her. They really haven't. They're like, for some of the months, she didn't even really have a storyline going on. As soon as Charlotte got COVID and she was out of the door, they were scrambling around figuring out what to do. So they decided to just put Asuka on the shelf and not really have her do much, waiting, hoping that Charlotte was going to come back. She never did. So this was obviously not even plan B or C. This was like plan D to get Rhea up to the main roster and challenge for the title. This was not what the plan was. Having said that, I was happy with Rhea getting a title shot. I don't mind that. It's just, again, it was another match that didn't have any real story going into Mania. It was a rushed thing, and it's difficult because the match was okay. But at the same time, if we didn't have this, we'd be having Charlotte winning another Raw title at Mania, and it's just like, well, I kind of have to take that into consideration. Although it looks like potentially she's going forward in Raw with it and blah, blah. She's probably going to get it soon anyway because it's Charlotte lol. But yeah, for that, I was just like, I'm actually all right with Charlotte not winning a title at Mania for a change. You know what I mean? So
even if Charlotte Asuka had happened and Asuka won, I'd still be. It would be nice that Asuka had won, but I think I still would have had the same reaction and investment as I did with this. And the thing is, like I say, Bianca Sasha stole the show. It was the match of the weekend. But the other two women's matches, the tag team ones, had no investment, had no intention of trying to get invested because I just thought, what's the point? And I so wanted to be invested in the Raw Women's Championship match.
Yeah, because of the talent that's available.
Yeah, because I love both of them, and I think most fans will agree with me. But even the fans there didn't seem too invested. They were just kind of sitting there, maybe a bit deflated from some of the shit that had happened before, maybe a bit tired, and maybe conserving some energy for the Universal Championship. But I think if they'd opened with this, the energy's there because it's the start of the show. It's like, oh, great, the Raw Women's Championship. They're already going to start comparing it in a good way to the Women's Championship match I saw the previous night, and you would have had a better pop for Rhea Ripley winning the Women's Championship. Yeah,
but I mean, I'm happy with her winning the championship. I think she deserves it. And going forward, I'm hoping it revitalises the championship because, like I said, with it's been on Asuka's shoulders, they've not done anything with it because they haven't invested in Asuka the way they should have been invested in Asuka. So fingers crossed, going forward, this is going to revitalise that division and push forward. And fingers crossed, they won't just give it to Charlotte and move on. They'll just we'll see. But yeah, the match wasn't. It was kind of stock. It was just your standard stuff. I like the intros. I like the fact that Rhea got the band to play. That was cool. I thought that was awesome. The fact she got that because they're very selective on who gets bands and stuff to play for them. So that was cool. But yeah, the match itself, it was kind of your standard stuff from Asuka, your standard stuff from Rhea. And I think I even remember saying to the missus once the match was over, I said, that was okay, but the chemistry, they need to work. Like, they need to work on their chemistry. And I'm thinking maybe a few more matches will do that. Maybe their final match will be the match we go, holy shit, these guys have really worked on it and they've made a good match. But there was clearly a lack of chemistry here for me.
Yeah, I think stock is a very fair way to describe it. I mean, again, the main fault of this thing was lack of investment.
And again, that's not their fault. That's Vince and WWE's fault.
Yeah, so that's the main factor of fault with this. But yeah, it felt in places sluggish and just like it was weird because it's not like they were doing anything wrong.
No, not really.
But yeah,
it wasn't like they were sitting there doing rest holds for 10 minutes because they weren't. Just like I say, there wasn't that spark. It wasn't like Cesaro and Seth where as soon as you got in the ring, like right, those guys have got chemistry. But with this, they just didn't.
It was also that place on the card where you'd seen so much. That spot on any card is quite a struggle, because it's one of those where even if you don't want to think it, it's like, right, once we get through this, it's the main event. So it was almost like, yeah, okay, get this over with, because we want to see the main event, that we can go home. So I genuinely think if they switched the Fiend Orton match and regardless of the end, or if they change the end of Fiend Orton, great. But if they switch those two matches around, you've had the face pop to start the night of Rhea winning the Raw Women's Championship, which would have got the adrenaline running. And for that match, like I say, the one before the main event, where everyone's a little bit like, it's that. The fact that it's the Fiend return and you know there's going to be some supernatural theatrics, your investment's still there. So, yeah, it was more cock-up of the people backstage than the two competitors in the ring. So I felt, going in, I knew it was all going to be about Rhea, because number one, it's like, okay, she missed the opportunity to wrestle in front of fans last year. Now she's got it. And she lost last year. It makes sense for her to win this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of them where instead of the huge, she's women's champion, it was like, yes, Rhea, well done, love. Clap, clap, clap. Now can you move back?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. And then it shouldn't be like that. Like, we all sat there going, deserved. Right call. She deserves it. Well done for you. Anyway, moving on.
It's got to be such a weird feeling to have.
Yeah.
If I knew the fans wanted me to be champion and I won the championship and they just went, well done. It's like, you feel a bit deflated.
Yeah, you would. You're fucking... I'd be fucking depressed, to be honest.
Yeah, you'd want people celebrating with you and jumping about. You want that massive pop. But it's almost probably worse. I'd rather them boo me for it than get a very quiet, just thumbs up kind of. Right?
Yeah.
I'd rather be like, I'd rather you hate me for having this than just be.
Oh, you got it. Cheers.
Yeah, all the best. Yeah, it's yeah. So I felt bad for Rhea, but at the same time, I'm happy that she is the Raw Women's Champion, and hopefully we can move forward. So, main event.
Main events.
Universal Championship.
Oh, hold on. You kind of made a weird sound then. When I don't know what happened. It's like an audio thing. I don't know what it was. So,
okay, sorry, man.
Yes, the Triple Threat Universal Championship match for Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. And yes, it was definitely the right call to put this on last, because this is the storyline that they have put all their investment in, and this is the one where they consistently made us care.
Yeah, it worked because. Well, again, did you watch the Talking Smack Paul Heyman Edge promo thing?
No, I didn't watch that one.
Just another bit of genius where Heyman was sitting there going, "Don't you realise what's going on here?" I mean, he did the whole thing like, Edge, I've always respected you. You are one of the greatest legends that has ever been in this company. You've done fantastic things. But don't you realise what Roman's going to do to you? He's not just going to destroy you and defeat you. He's going to embarrass you. He's going to humiliate you. He's going to put you down. And you're going to have to go home to your wife and look into your children's eyes knowing that you failed, not because of you, but because of Roman. Because Roman is the big dog. Roman is head of the table. You had your time. You are done. You shouldn't be here. And he got up and hugged Edge and said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what Roman's going to do to you.
That's good.
And tears in his eyes. And then Edge got up and started hugging him back and goes, don't you realise who I am? A couple of years ago at Mania, I went through a flaming table with thumbtacks in all my joints, my arm melting, the arm that I still managed to drape over Mick Foley to win that match. And you think I don't have what it takes to beat your big dog? Thank you for reminding me who the hell I am. And I was like, okay, more investment. So, yeah, the story was done. It wasn't the greatest story I've ever seen in wrestling, but it was very good and Mania-worthy storytelling.
Yes.
To the point that when the bell rang, it was like, I'm ready.
Yeah, it felt like a big fight feel, and that's exactly what you want.
So, and I like the fact that, of course, Jay's there, but they did it enough to, like, let's get him out of the way quickly with the DDT steps. And it was a fight.
Yeah.
And it was a well-constructed fight.
Yeah, it was. It really was a well-constructed fight. Like I say, it never felt boring. It never felt like the pace was dropping. The story was paced very beautifully. It really was.
The great thing was there was no obvious winner.
So that's the thing. You've got your edge on the seat. Yeah, you've got your edge on the seat moment. You've got your favourites and everything. You've got your odds-on favourites. I think Edge was the odds-on favourite betting shop to win. But at the same time, you're thinking, although it's like 10 years to the day since he retired, you've also got Bryan, who might not have many Mania matches left in him, and obviously he's the underdog that we all love and we'd be happy with. But then on the other side, you've got Roman Reigns, who is having the best run of his career as this dominant, terrifying heel. So it literally is like, I don't know who's going to win this, and it just intrigues you so much more.
With what I'm going into it, I predicted Roman, and the two reasons why is relating to Bryan and Edge. Was with Bryan, it was, yes, he wants to be champion again, as far as his character, because who doesn't? Every wrestler, every character would want to be champion. But his was more like the honest truth of, I don't know how many Manias I've got left, I want to headline one more, and he did. So from that point of view, it's like, well, he's got his wish, he's headlining Mania, so from a real perspective, I think Bryan's just happy with that.
Yeah.
He doesn't really... I think he'd love to be champion again, but he's not really that too bothered about it. And with Edge, it was like, I'd be fine with seeing Edge champion again, but he's a part-timer who doesn't need it. And because he's part-time, would we get the Brock Lesnar deal again? Not as bad as the Brock Lesnar deal.
No, because Edge says when he is there, he's there every week. But
yeah, so it would have told me it would have been a long run, because he's still only got the 4 to 6 matches per year contract. Because I don't want him to risk the neck stuff, which, going back to the match, there was a lot of those kind of spots where the necks were being targeted.
Yeah, I mean, even Bryan got desperate at one point, and he mentioned his neck as he stomped on top of it. I was like, that's real. Yeah. Like, normally I would say it's a heel tactic, but it just seemed like a desperation tactic.
Even was the point of the ref.
Yeah, Bryan pulled the ref out. Yeah, and at the same time when that happened, I thought, is he turning heel? I went, no, he's not. He's just so desperate, and it's the same thing. Like him and Edge, the whole time there was this desperation to them through the entire match. But with Reigns, it was like, all I've got to do is attack you and stack you and pin you. I've got to do my job, and I'm fine. I can do this. He's confident. But these guys were wrestling with the biggest chip on their shoulder. You know, and it like I say, it did amazing things. We had so many spots just all over the place. The concerto stuff was really good as well. The double spear where they barged each other's shoulders. That great. Really enjoyed that. I like the submission stuff they did together, where Edge had him in a submission and then Bryan got involved with the pipe and everything, and they were looking and saying, let go, and they started headbutting each other, and you can see Reigns just panicking, going, oh shit. That was all great as well.
I mean, they had the spots with the, like I say, the double edge spear collision, Edge, fucking hell, Josh. Bryan went through the commentator table.
Yes.
And all that. And when the bar came off the chair, I genuinely thought there was a fuck-up. Then obviously he used it for the crossface, which was great. And I think before as well, Bryan had got him in that yes lock of like, he's technically tapped out to this before.
Yes.
Holy shit. And then obviously the crossface from Edge, it was like, he's still weak from that. It takes Bryan to come in and hold the hand to stop the tap. So when the double crossface happened, the spear, and then the ref got pulled out, at first I thought it was Jay. When it panned around and it showed it was Bryan, I was like, okay. And I knew from that point this is the start of the end of the match.
Yes.
The final run. So, yeah, Edge livid, sets them up for the concertos. Concertos Bryan, and Bryan starts convulsing, all that shit.
I think that puts Bryan out. He doesn't move again.
No, he doesn't. And then Roman, he tries it for Roman, but I think Roman gets up and manages to hit him with something.
Oh no, it's Jay. Jay gets involved. He comes back.
Oh, Jay.
And then he spears Jay, and then that's by that time Roman's up and attacks Edge with it. I think it was a spear, and then he concertoed him.
The concerto to Edge.
Yes.
So attacking the neck, and apparently
him pinning both of them, he decided on the fly.
Really?
Which I don't know if he'd get in trouble for, but personally, I think that's awesome.
No, so did I. I thought it was perfect. I was just like, oh, you bastard. And that's what you want. You want him to go, you bastard. Not only are you this dominant, terrifying heel that everyone is afraid of, you're also just being this arrogant prick that's going, I'm not just going to pin one of you. I'm going to pin you both and embarrass both of you.
The character obviously saying, stack them.
Yeah.
And he literally
And he did stack them.
Yeah, but it's because I thought the other reason he might have got in trouble possibly would be a whole well, we wanted you to just pin that guy to protect that guy, or whatever. But the whole thing of in a triple threat thing, it's always like, I pinned that guy, not that guy, because this guy was the weakest of the two. To take both of them, and that visual of even if you didn't watch Mania and you just I'll go on the webpage to see the results, that image of Roman pinning both at the same time of this guy is the man.
Yeah.
He fucked them and beat them in dominant fashion. And I think there was even a promo on WWE.com afterwards of him going, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I do that? Acknowledge me as the head of the table, for God's sake. I've been doing this for months now. Why did you expect anything less? I'm the man. Get out my face. And so when Roman won, I thought it was the right call. And I know some people don't think that's the way, but I do.
I was fine with it. I would have been fine with any of them. That's the thing. And I put my prediction as Edge because he was the odds-on favourite, and obviously with the symbolism of his retirement thing. But it just makes it obvious. It's as soon as I was done, I was like, why did I bet against Roman? When it comes to Mania, why do I bet against Roman? It's I shouldn't do that. And I didn't get to that point. I was like, right, I'm not betting against Roman ever again. But I know that when it comes to Mania, and I think there's a slight opportunity that he may lose it, I'm not going to bet for him. And it's just, going round and round all the time. I keep thinking to myself, I shouldn't ever bet against Roman.
I never went into it looking at, Roman Mania, of course he's going to win. I went in with it just made sense for the longevity of the story of the Universal Championship. Because now, there was a few wins and losses here and there where some people went, well, what does he do now? And blah, 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 blah. With Roman, it's the whole, he's champion. He's got all challenges. And this is the time where you can build up a new rising star of, this is the guy that's going to topple you.
Yes.
And it could be Big E. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, as long as it isn't someone that doesn't deserve it, like a Brock Lesnar or something, because that just wrecks the whole thing. No, you want it to a point where whoever does it, it's this proper big baby face pop moment. I'm the guy that dethroned Roman, and that, like I say, it could be someone like Big E. It needs to be something of that caliber where it puts this person over and makes them a megastar as well. As long as they do that, then I have not got a problem with Reigns in this heel run because it hasn't got boring. And I'm so surprised that not once has it been stale. The whole time it has been consistent and really well booked. It honestly has. And Roman's with his promos has been incredible. I'm praying that when everything goes back to normal that he can still keep that up, because one of the great things about his promo work is that it's cold and quiet and calculated, but when you've got a crowd you can't really do that. So but I'm fingers crossed he can find a way to adapt, because it's been incredible.
The thing is with that, it's maybe they can, when the crowds are back, they can somehow do something so the television audience can still hear the quiet things he says in their ears sometimes. But that's a great ploy for the fans that are there live who want to know what he said, will go onto their YouTube channels and television and find it. It's another great ploy to get viewers. So it'd be very easy to lay all the praise at Paul Heyman's feet of Heyman helped him, blah, blah, blah. And he does help him. But Roman's done nothing wrong.
No.
He's doing it himself.
This is the Roman we always wanted from day one. And I'm so happy that we're finally getting this the way that we want it. And it's making big bucks. You know what I mean? It's benefiting WWE as much as it's benefiting the fans. And keep it up. And he's champion, and I'm not annoyed. No one is. So Vince gets exactly what he wants, and we get exactly what we want.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
The thing that kind of made me almost disconnect with this Mania as a whole, I mean, it's going to always be a weird one because, 2 nights, fans are back, but there's still restrictions. The Storm shit didn't help. There was a slight disconnect, and one of the main disconnects, which is it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing was the lack of star power. Because what we got, which is the good thing, was it was rising stars.
Yes.
Pretty much everyone around the stars.
The fact that we didn't have people like Taker and Triple H and Cena and all that kind of stuff taking spotlights, it gave an opportunity for someone like Cesaro to have a spotlight.
Yeah, but there was still that kind of, you could feel the lack of star power. Sometimes you need the star as well. So, it was more, it was not a complaint as such, but it was interesting for the first time to not have, like, say, Cena, Taker, Triple H, that kind of stuff. But I did think, like, what if they're Roman is in the ring, Heyman's holding up his arm, like, we won, we're about to close out the show, and then Lesnar's music just hits. And you're like, what? But it's mainly focused on Heyman's face of, oh my God, what do I do? And then Lesnar hits the ring, Heyman's just almost like lost for words for once, like, what are you doing here? Roman's still like no selling this whole like, I know who you are, I've kicked your ass before, what are you doing here yourself? And the Mania ends with Lesnar and Roman staring each other down. There's your investment for like what's going to happen next. SummerSlam, you can build a match for them at SummerSlam, again, especially if full capacity fans are back, of a title match there, and Heyman doesn't know where to stand. So
as long as Roman wins, I'm fine.
Well, again, that was the only way I'd be okay with Lesnar hitting it again is if the betrayal with Heyman, because I think Roman would then be able to stand alone by himself, and Heyman's exclamation could be, "You're good, but you're not the beast," kind of thing. And then the story again could come full circle with, well, I'm going to beat you, beast. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But from a poster point of view, I thought, for SummerSlam, imagine having, like, Lesnar and Roman, like, almost as puppets going forward towards each other's collision, and Heyman's above them with the strings. Like, just like, these are both my puppets, and I'm going to make them fight. But, yeah, it's fantasy booking and delving into that. But, yeah, for what it was, I was fine with the way it ended of Roman's dominance. It was the right call. So, ratings.
Yes.
This is tough.
Yeah, it is tough because what they did right, they did so right. Everything worked exactly as we wanted it to do and how it should have gone. But then the ones that went wrong, they just went really wrong, and or there was it sucked, or it was no investment. So it is very, very difficult. For me, though, you what?
I was just going to say, usually with Mania, because of the Mania marquee name, it's usually a high score. But this, to me, does not feel like a Mania. It just feels like a better pay-per-view than average. I'll grant you, but it feels just like another pay-per-view. So I think I'm going to have to rate it as another pay-per-view, which I should, So, yeah, I'm trying to think of all the matches and trying to remember if the goods outweigh the bad there.
Well, for me, I mean, my thinking of it, I'll give him my rating. I think that the good does outweigh the bad. I think everything that was done right was done very right, and a lot of people got their moments that they deserved and wanted, their spotlights. They told some good stories. There were some fun things to be had. Even a couple of matches that had no investment ended up turning my opinion around. So with that, I think it's fair. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because I think that's fair. It was better than average, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't, like I say, the top tier kind of 9 and 10s kind of thing. And I was edging towards an 8, but like I say, you can't forgive the bad stuff that happened as well. Yeah. So I've gone for a 7 out of 10.
I think I was going to go for a 6, but I'm going to give it 6.5, and mainly because, like you said, the bad things really did leave a bad taste in your mouth. The good things were really good, but those that were just like, the Kevin Owens versus Sami and those kind of matches, they weren't bad. They were just plain damn good.
Yeah.
So I can't really, take points off of that. That's not fair. Some people might be going, it was good, but it weren't Mania worthy. It's like, you might be right. But it still doesn't take away the fact that it was a solid good match.
That's the thing. You've got like you say, you've got to kind of review it as a pay-per-view, if you constantly review it as it's Mania, I expect better, then you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be satisfied. You just got to sometimes treat it for what it is in front of you.
I agree. Sometimes, yes, they should step up when it's WrestleMania, but sometimes the stars don't align for that for whatever reason, and yet they can still deliver what they promised they'd deliver. So, but the half point mainly, and I suppose it's lucky for them, goes towards their professionalism for those first 40 minutes delay.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just thought they handled that very well. To on the fly go, let's still give the viewers something to
watch,
entertain them with. Everyone came together. And even before that, everything from Vince's... I mean, Vince didn't have to do that speech. And, for all the shit that he does, every now and then he does do something good. And that was good to, go out there, welcome everybody back, say thank you to the fans, and say thank you to his roster. It was just... Again, there's some people out there who's like, well, he didn't really have to do it. It's like, no, he didn't have to. But he did.
But he did do it.
That's a good thing
Yeah,
to do.
I won't take that away from him.
Yeah, so, I'll go with 6.5. So, great to see the fans back. But, it's not going to go down as the greatest WrestleMania.
No, it isn't. And I think that's a tall order, but I still had fun. Overall, I had fun.
Yeah, it will go down as a... Oh, yeah.
I would say maybe it was a return to form.
It's definitely a return to form, but it's going to be one of those on the fence manias where some people will see it as passable, some will see it as just plain good, and then there'll be a select few that just say it fucking sucks.
Yeah, but that's the wrestling community in it for you.
It's definitely a mania that I know has split the fans.
Yeah, unfortunately, the wrestling community is very much like the Star Wars community. It can be toxic as hell sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and we have the right to our opinions with that. Everybody does. Because sometimes, it will vice versa here. Someone will go, blah, 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 fucking shit. I'll venture my opinion. They go, I didn't see it that way. And then vice versa. Yeah. I thought that was great. And then they'll go, actually, no, it weren't because of this. And you're like, oh, fuck, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. So, yeah, WrestleMania 37 in the books. In the books, done and dusted. And next we've got WrestleMania Backlash. I don't know why they've called it that. I'm not calling it. I'm just going to call it Backlash. Yeah, I'm going to call it Backlash. The two things that triggered me at Mania was calling it WrestleMania Backlash. Right? It's been called Backlash for fucking years, and the reason it's called Backlash is the fans are smart enough to go, oh, it's the Backlash for Mania. You don't have to thump it down into our fucking skulls. And the bit I forgot, where Titus and Hogan came up for last night. Bella's! Bailey kept popping out, which... I thought it was going to be Becky. Be Becky. The fans were chanting it. I was like, it's Becky. When those fucking Bella twats came out... Oh, mate, I was angry. Fuck this. I was like, you're not talented. Nobody likes you. You haven't done anything of note. Go away and don't come back. But I did like the fact that Bailey mentioned John Cena's not here. I was like, woohoo! Yeah, look, to be honest, the only solace I got from any of those segments, I was upset Bailey wasn't wrestling, but I thought at least she hasn't been forgotten. At least she's on Mania, so... But yeah, fuck the Bellas and fuck... I'm calling it Backlash. I refuse to call it WrestleMania. Yeah, I'm not calling it WrestleMania Backlash. It's Backlash, and I'll be titling it on the thumbnail and everything. It's not WrestleMania Backlash, it's just Backlash. Yeah, and I'm a bit disappointed as well, because I thought it was Bank Holiday weekend. It's mid-May. Oh, for fuck's sake. So, yeah, I'll just have to watch it after work or something. But yeah, so we'll be back for... Backlash. Yeah, not Mania Backlash. Yeah, so in about a few weeks' time. 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, yes, like, subscribe, and we'll be back in a few weeks. Bye. Bye.